Nobody's dead.
It's because of men like you that all must be destroyed. It's because of men like you that all must be destroyed. None of those risen have been seen, at least not by anyone who still remains alive. None of those risen have been seen, at least not by anyone who still remains alive.
brain treatment was given to you. You are a robot, that's all you are. Better not change your mind. You just better not.
10,
Better not change your mind. You just better not.
8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Creepy children. I forgot to put up our sign. Okay, creepy children. Okay.
Creepy children
Creepy
sign.
children sign. Hi, everybody. Welcome to another exciting episode of Tangents, the show where, again, on the internet, 4 white dudes talk about music gear. Because you didn't get that enough earlier today on Sonic Talk. So, yeah, hi, I'm Andrew. With me today, as always, is the beautiful Christoph, the delightful Jeff, and the slovenly Justin. We're going to be spending the next 2 hours or so yammering on about all kinds of music news and what's out there as far as electronic music gear, synthesizers, all that fun stuff. But before we do that, Christoph, what's new in your world?
I have my Spike Club anniversary tomorrow. 1 year of DJing on Thursday nights.
Shit.
So I've been cutting together a little intro video that I've been meaning to do for forever to show for tomorrow, and so that's consuming a lot of my time, and I'm excited about doing that and to get a big turnout. Then on Friday, I'm doing a Goth Music Unites Us festival with a bunch of other DJs from 8 to 9:30, and then I'm doing Stimulate. After that, that'll be online, and then July 23rd, I'm going to be DJing with Morris Black at Stimulate in New York
God,
City.
you're actually leaving the house?
Yeah, which seems like a
Yeah,
terrible
no
idea.
kidding. Why don't you just have them bring a screen and you can just DJ from there?
I want to be Brian Oblivion so bad.
Right. Well, that's awesome.
cool.
Congratulations.
You hear the nerd boners going
Yeah.
up?
Right?
Yeah.
Congratulations on your 1-year
Video drum.
anniversary.
Thank you.
John Haynes, hi. Thanks for your subscription. Speaking of, it's his 19-month streak on subscribing to the Dick Studios Twitch channel. So thanks for that.
Does that come with a handy?
What's that?
Does that come with a handy?
It does. So I'm going to be sending some hands to Paris. So yeah, thanks again, John Haynes, for that. Parisian hands. I don't know.
Parisian Hands is the name of
I
my
think it
next
should be.
band.
And it's all going to be done with nothing but 404 sound effects, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean that's what everything is already.
That's about it. So, Jeff, what's new in your world?
Well, I finished resetting up my studio, which is cool, and all of the audio or sound treatment is up, and it sounds totally dead, which I'm into. So that's been good. I believe I am entering the home stretch of mentally waiting for my UDO Super 6 to come in.
Sweet.
Allegedly, that is a July arrival from where did I even get it? God, I can't even remember. Vintage King. Yes, from Vintage King. So that's exciting. Otherwise, I've just kind of been hanging out. Tomorrow's my dad's 81st birthday,
Wow.
which feels kind of like strange to say even, but we're going to go see him. That's cool. And long weekend. That's it.
Nice. Congratulations.
I
to your
invested
dad.
in a black light.
Yeah.
That's probably the most important thing.
You're working. I mean, I don't. I remember the first show you came on here, and your studio sounded like it was echoey as hell. And now it sounds.
Oh, yeah.
Nice and quiet and beautiful and everything like that. So yeah, good job on that.
Thank you.
And congratulations on making it back from your vacation. Looks like you had a good time.
Yeah, that was fun. It was a good place to be.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And tell your dad happy birthday from all of us at Tangents, and see. Don't explain anything about that. Just
He'd just be like, "That's cool, thank you."
perfect. So John Haynes says that, yeah, I have been streaming for 19 months because he was like one of my first subscribers. I think he was my first subscriber. So I think
Nice.
it must be near my 19-month anniversary. What is that like? You know, they have like the gold and silver. Is that like the lead balloon?
Mercury.
Something
Halo
cancer
Verser.
causing? I don't know.
Oh my god.
Justin, what's new in your world?
Well, musically, not too much. Been doing this binge lately of updating the firmware of everything I own, which is painful and awful, and including, as we're going to talk about, the Electron stuff. But what else? Yeah. Oh, started a little project with my ASR 10 because I decided that I needed an external SD card SCSI adapter device.
Or are you resoldering, replacing the floppy drive?
Actually, no. So this is cool. So I used to use this with iOmega zip drive back in the day. And so I didn't have the SCSI hard drive, but I had the iOmegas, which was fine. But I never got around to taking all the stuff I had on floppies. I mean, I have just like stacks of floppies for the EPS 16 Plus and ASR 10. And they need to get off the floppies. So what this does is just plugs into the back of a SCSI port, which are hard to come by the way, if you have an ASR 10. I luckily found a rack mount unit that had it in it many years ago. Yeah, so anyway, that's my new pet project.
Cool.
Moving old stuff, and it's funny to listen to some of the stuff I did 25 years ago. It's pretty fun.
Wait, are you saying the ASR 10 didn't come with SCSI by default?
That is correct.
Oh, that's terrible.
Yeah, I know. Neither the EPS 16 Plus or the ASR 10, but there were models that did have it. The problem is just there was a massive shortage of it for many years, and recently some companies started making them again. Yeah.
Well, cool. I'm glad that you're keeping yourself busy and out of trouble, young man.
Yes, you know.
Yeah.
Off the streets.
For once.
Yeah. That's great. I want to get like one of those SD card SCSI converters for my Kurzweils and Akais and all my other SCSI stuff.
Oh yeah,
That'd be super handy. Because all my SCSI drives are just bound to die.
It's like a matter of
20
when,
years
not if.
yeah. The benefit, I see, because I'm also a vintage computer person, and I do have adapters, like Gotek adapters for my Ataris and other things. The problem here was that you could replace the entire floppy, but you end up with this sort of like imaging thing, and then you have to toggle between the disk images. I find that a little tedious. And since it had the SCSI on there, I was like, why not just get an SD card reader for
Nice. Let's see. I was part of the Rainbow Roll stream last weekend, which is the Golden Shrimp Pride Festival of streaming craziness. So I did a set with that as the HR director, which is always fun and destroys my vocal cords because I get to scream at everybody in an accent that I don't even know what it is while wearing a fez and sunglasses. So that was cool. That was fun. And I picked up a Circuit Tracks.
Ooh.
Yeah. I'm actually going to be doing a video probably in a couple weeks comparing the Circuit Tracks and the Digitact and the Deluge. And kind of like side by side comparing what the strengths and weaknesses of all those are. And then hold up the Deluge and to say it's clearly the winner, because it is clearly the winner.
Oh, as long as you're going in unbanded, Andrew. I feel
Yeah,
pretty good
completely
about
100% unbiased.
Yeah, it feels like we're going to get a fair comparison in this video. I'm excited.
Andrew, do you have a Deluge?
Funny you should ask. Everybody should have a Deluge. I'm looking at our audience of bots, and I know that there's at least 3 humans on there, possibly 4, and they all need Deluges. So, John Haynes, you need a Deluge. Jeff, you have a Deluge, so you don't count. Christoph, you need a Deluge. Libel Loops, you need a Deluge. And Skinny Puppy Jen needs a Deluge.
Definitely needs a
Deluge. So there we go. Instead of shouting out to people, I'm just going to tell them they need Deluges from now on. Y'all need a Deluge.
I'm gonna have to sample you
Nonsense
saying
girl.
that into the SP and just have you need a Deluge.
Exactly. I can even do it like the movie phone voice.
You need a Deluge. You need a
Hello,
Deluge.
you need a Deluge.
Oh my God.
Totally.
Yes.
I ordered a squat pyramid today, so
Oh, nice.
Nice.
I'm looking forward to seeing how that is and see if I click with it. And then if I don't, I'm going to return it.
Well, if you have any questions or want any help with it, let me
I am
know.
going to hit you up, I'm sure, because I know that there's a little
Please
bit of a
do.
curve on it. So
It took me a while to kind of jive with it, and it was very funny. I hated it passionately until I absolutely loved it, and I have a lot of gear that I really like, and there are not a lot of things that I don't know, like if it just got hit by a meteor, that I would just immediately go buy, like no hesitation. Like I don't know, the Korg Prologue I really like. If it got hit by a meteor, would I replace it with another Korg Prologue? I don't know, maybe not. If the pyramid got blown up by a meteor, I would immediately buy another one. It is absolutely fantastic.
Okay. Well, that's good to know. I will definitely come to you for questions and stuff like that, because I'm sure I'll have some. I was looking through the manual this evening, and I'm just kind of like the blood started coming out of my nose.
It does not have a good manual for sure.
No, it doesn't look like it. So I'm also gonna bounce on to our boy what's his name? Yeah, Loopop. And watch his reviews and stuff, because he's always very instructive with stuff too.
Yeah, I thought his was pretty good. There's a few around that are pretty good. I've actually been thinking about making a fairly deep video of basically, so you've got a pyramid and you don't know what to do with it. Now what? Because it's very funny. Like there's this initial learning curve on it that is a straight up cliff. And then, but it's a short cliff, right? Like you just got to climb over this short cliff, and then you get a pretty good ways, and the learning curve is very shallow, and then it just turns super steep again. There's all this stuff like building these definitions files that you can do, which if you're a computer programmer person, then for any of you bots who are computer programmers, if you're AIs and taking over the world, once you sort of like, I can't do this stuff, but if you were adept at those kinds of things, it'd probably be much easier. But there's sort of like a very high end of getting it work. Yes, John Haynes remembers well a Motu fight, and it turns out that if you have a Motu MIDI Express XT10 or something like that, if you have that and a Korg device plugged in with a pyramid, the clock won't work.
How weird.
Wow.
And Motu is like, I don't know. We got nothing. Can we help you? Nope. Sorry.
Yeah. That's weird. It was like Studio One sending sysx messages to my old mini gear and blowing it up.
Speaking of, there was a Studio One update. I don't know if you saw that or not.
Oh,
Came out
no,
yesterday,
I don't know.
So update your Studio One. Let's see what else is going on. I did. I'm on the Synthstrom channel now, because I love Deluge so much.
Congratulations.
So yeah, that was fun. They did like a release show with the Golden Shrimp Guild, and it's always cool watching that YouTube channel, the Synthstrom YouTube channel. It's just like a 24/7 channel of just people playing stuff on the Deluge, and seeing how versatile that little box is just keeps on blowing me away. And then I am going to be doing a show next Saturday with the Synthfest. Actually, Information Trey and myself will be hanging out down here. The first time we've seen each other, probably in about a year and a half, maybe more. And we're going to jam together on Deluges. We're going to have dueling Deluge.
Oh.
So that's what I've got going on.
Well, now you're committed to doing a version of Dueling Banjos on the Deluge as like electro or something. I don't know. Like
I did a I did a class last summer. I was that a friend of mine who does theme park music for a living put on, and our final project was we sent random videos to each of us of a theme park ride, like from the point of view of riding it, and we had to write a soundtrack. including like sound effects and incidentals and everything like that. And we could use like pre-existing music and just kind of assemble it, and that's what I ended up doing. So it was a log ride theme thing. I don't know what the exact theme was, but I turned it into the Deliverance ride. With like the chill banjos, and then as you start going up the hills, dun 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 dun, and then like it goes for a while, and then the whole dueling banjos comes in, and then the ride stops and pushes you backwards. So right when the ride stops, it cuts into Beer, Steers, and Queers by the Revolting Cocks. And
Yes.
I'll have to put the video up on somewhere to share, because obviously it's all copyrighted music, so I can't put it up on YouTube. But it was pretty. It's pretty. I thought I was pretty happy with it. Anyway, now the segue into what's going on in the world. We have news. We have news to cover. John Haynes, yeah, it did go well. It was a lot of fun. Myself and SenseNet Shaney took it, and we had a blast with it and everything like that. You learned so much about what goes into theme park sound and audio design, and it really ruins theme parks for you. Like I went to Disney World a few months ago, and went to like the Star Wars Land thing, and everything that he was criticizing about it, like I heard it in my head, and he was absolutely right. And that's a story for another time. But yeah, it was a great class. I highly recommend it if he does it again. And if you're interested in sound design and how sound works in fake created worlds, whether it's virtual reality or theme parks or whatever, it's cool. But anyway, Arturia rolled out a new FX collection. This was news from we didn't get a chance to cover it at our last show, so we're going to cover it now. They have 7 new plugins in its FX collection. FX Collection 2, it's called. Justin, you wanted to talk about that a little bit. What the hell happened? Am I still playing? How weird. Hello.
That's better.
Sorry, my
Sorry.
internet's acting like a tool again.
Oh man.
There we go.
All right. Is he back?
Thank you. Yeah, I'm back.
So everything you said after Disney World, I didn't hear.
Okay, cool. So what I was saying is that we were done with that part. So Arturia rolls out a new FX collection, and Justin, you wanted to talk about that.
Yeah. So I do own most Arturia stuff. I find some of it to be great and some of it to be okay. Their effect stuff, similarly, okay. Wasn't a huge fan of some of their delay stuff. Although I've been using a couple of their preamps that are okay. But man, this stuff that came out recently, the 3 bus effects, the Diode 609, the Bus Force, and the EQ Citrol 295 are, because I'm in the middle of trying to finally polish the turd on this mix that I'm doing, and having to learn all about Studio One automation, and I'm just not happy with the buses. And so I picked this up because I got a discount because I own all the things. And that EQ Citrol 295, which is some kind of weird German radio TV console thing, sounds friggin' great. So, I mean, for the project that I'm working on, I was just really blown away. Just throwing it on the master bus just really made it sound vintagey and awesome. So whatever they've got, whatever the Sandes L's over in southeastern France that they're cooking up there, they've done a great job.
Nice. I did not jump on that when it originally came out, and so I am out of my price league at the moment, but it's definitely going to be something I'm going to be looking to picking up later on.
Yeah, they also threw in the chorus pedal that was this weird thing going where they gave it away for free, and I don't know if they got into trouble. Then it just disappeared off the map, and you couldn't download it. And they re-released that, and it sounds pretty darn good too. If you like if you like that Juno chorusy sound, it's pretty legit.
All the kids love it.
You know, a lot of companies are giving things out for limited windows. So you have to get it for free during that time, or else you have to pay for it later.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
that's what they did with that.
Well, what happened?
I guess it's to build concentrated interest.
Sure. I mean, what happened to me is I downloaded the free version, and then it showed up on my console as on the Arturia software manager as sort of unpurchased. So I was in this weird limbo, and I didn't even try contacting them because I've had mixed results with their support. So I was like,
Yeah, don't get me started.
That kills me with companies when you go and you get something, you get excited about it, but then you have a problem and the support is just like not there for you.
yeah.
I agree.
It's really disheartening.
Yeah.
I will say that, yeah, it really does make or break in some ways if you kind of feel like you're on your own. I mean, companies, and I don't want to like shame anybody or start naming names, but I would say companies that have surprised me with their level of support quality would be like Sequential, really surprised me. They got back to me like in an hour and were asking me actual real questions. So I was pretty impressive.
Yeah, I would say that some other I think that like Sequential and obviously Synthstrom is really good with their support.
Cha-ching.
Yeah, I know. They just gave me another nickel. And those, and even like what are they called? ASM. That's it. Yeah. Ashton Sound Machines are really good with their support and stuff like that. I will say the worst support that I had was from Arturia. The second worst support I've had was from Teenage Engineering. So I'll name names.
Yeah, for sure. Roland is kind of another interesting one, but
Yeah, I've never dealt with Roland because I hate them.
well, fair enough.
You got to buy from them to deal with their support.
Yeah, exactly. I have some Roland stuff. I have a filter from them.
Yeah. My only Roland stories, it took me like 5 months to get a power supply for a Boss unit.
Wow.
Hmm.
Well, John
Oh,
Haynes
dude.
doesn't have any issues with Arturia support because John Haynes, you live in France and they like you. We're filthy Americans.
Well, I mean, to be fair, we had a coven. They gave us the croissant, and we turned it into the croissantwich.
True. I heard a very good joke, and the France comment reminded me of it. So I'm going to tell my joke, and if y'all don't laugh, I'll just laugh at it myself. What do you call a French goth band?
What do you call a French goth band?
The Sisters of Merci.
Oh my gosh. I was actually going to start naming French goth bands, but that was way better. Thanks, Jeff.
Anyway, more news. Thanks, Jeff, who ruined it. Oh, spoiler alert, there's no Cherry Audio news this week.
Let's make something up.
I know. Cherry Audio releases the Kraken.
Yeah. Also, Cherry Audio has a bunch of things on sale this week.
Oh, there we go.
So they're putting out the OB 8 for $29.
So
Just kidding, it's every week.
yeah.
Someday they'll raise it, but they haven't yet.
Yes.
Every week I don't do it for no good reason.
Yes, absolutely. Behringer news, and there's a lot of Behringer news here that we're going to be bringing up, and just because we talk about Behringer doesn't mean we condone Behringer. Behringer showed off their knockoff. I mean, they're not their knockoff. It looks just like a Linn drum called the LM drum. That almost looks exactly like the Linn drum, except that it has a section called percussion.
Yes.
But there's no section called postcussion.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have it.
Yeah.
I have it. Unfortunately, I can't. I zoomed it on here, and it's probably not going to show over. There you go.
Yeah, percussion.
Percussion.
Oh
Good
my
spelling,
gosh.
guys. So yeah.
Is that English?
I think it's Germish. Jerngrish. No, I can't.
Gringlish?
Gringlish?
I don't
Yeah,
know.
I don't know.
It's the same. They have one department that handles ethics and copywriting and proofreading. It's the same team.
It's the same guys.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And they've been drinking.
Oh my gosh.
John Haynes, get you
Yeah.
a glass of champagne.
You know, a lot of that stuff is done in Midas, which is in, I think, was in Manchester. So
Yeah.
I think we can all excuse a little bad spelling, but
But you know,
you think
should
that
probably
before you send out copy, you know,
yeah,
come on.
you shouldn't make your prototype with the bad spelling.
No, and even if okay, so the engineer did that, oopsie daisy, somebody had to like put that picture on the side.
Yeah.
Unless it is precussion. Maybe it's not percussion. Maybe it's a new concept that's going to blow your mind.
Maybe.
You don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't know me. That's true.
I mean, it would be surprising that they came up with something new.
I know, right?
Or they had to change one letter so they can't get sued.
Yeah.
Oh my
Well,
god.
But so it is a sampler, right?
Exactly. And so
It is indeed a
it is
sampler.
in fact it looks like a lot like the Lindrum, but it is an original design. It has onboard sample editing. It does have sampling built into it. You know, that kind of stuff. They're still apparently a long way off from it being done, but it, you know, looking at the back of it, it has like all the individual outs as 1/8 inch. I fucking hate that.
Yeah.
But yeah,
So it's going to be a drum sampler. It's probably going to be a little bit like a Corgi S1 or the Emu SP12. Yep. I wouldn't be surprised if they throw in modes for lo-fi.
Yeah.
It's going to come with a sound kit that sounds like the Lindrum, but because those all belong to Roger Lynn, unless they pay up, which they won't, they'll just make knockoff sounds that are similar enough.
And call them
Yeah.
Lindrums.
I mean, it is billing itself as an 8/12-bit sampler. So I mean, I don't know. I'm very curious. I don't know. I really love the Lindrum, but I also love the OBX and the SP1200.
Yep.
I just love that. I love that sound. And if they can get that sound and they sell it for cheap enough, I might do it. But then again, I have a lot of tools that I use that can also get that sound, including one called VLIN, which is made by a French developer at Marseille, I think. And I've seen a lot of activity on this person's site, but I own it. And he basically was a computer scientist or something, because he literally peeled the sounds out of the ROMs. And so he's like mounting these ROMs in the software. It's pretty crazy. So to your point, I don't know how legal that is, Christoph. And but I know that for some of the other devices, the floating ROMs that went around for the like this old sequential drum machines claim to be the same ones that were used in the Lin, and you could swap them out. And I don't know if that was
That
true.
might be a good question to ask the X Studios legal department, which is run by Commander Root. So, Commander Root, I see that you're watching. So, if you could let us know the legality of that kind of thing, that'd be great. Thank you, Commander Root.
So I do know that the trick for that is those chips are just playing back digital recordings, and the chips are their medium. And that's why Roger Lynn owns the rights, because they're still a recorded medium. So the publishing copyright lasts, I think, 75 years or more, whereas patents on the technology only lasts 25, I think. So that's a workaround for that. As for the 12-bit, that's a totally solid reason to go for it. Important to note, with the Emu SB12, it's not 12-bit. It's a 12-bit data storage, but that's not how it's played back, because it's not PCM. You know, it's using something called mu-law compression, which was what the telephone networks were using, and which is why those chips were like easy to get a hand on. And it's a lossy compression. So although it's storing it in a 12-bit format, you're getting back more than 12 bits of sound, but not the same 12 bits. And people like Wu-Tang Clan and hip hop really liked the way it altered that sound. I think I've discussed this with Emacs samplers before and Emulator 2, and it's the same with the SB12. So there is a sampler you can get right now called TAL sampler, a software sampler, that will reproduce the mu-law compression by running it through the same codecs to reproduce that sound accurately. But I have a Corgi S1, sampler, and I hate the workflow on it. I know some people love it, but I hate it. But the reason why I keep it is because what you put into it is completely not what you get out of it in a really musically interesting way. So for industrial, it makes drums harder. And I don't know how it's doing it, but it sounds just great. And it's otherwise it's a terrible piece of crap, but it does this one thing just kind of amazingly well. So this Lindrum might fit that little spot for people. Plus, it's going to create a workflow that people really like. So it might be, wonderful, but of course it's Behringer, so everybody's gonna have mixed feelings about it. Even though it is a unique product. It's not really a Lindrum, but it's copying that sound to cash in on the nostalgia of it. So this isn't the shittiest thing they've done. So we'll keep hating Behringer for other stupid things that they've done.
Oh,
It
yeah.
is particularly weird, though.
Yeah, it's kind of like taking we took this body of a mini Moog and we put a digital synthesizer into it.
It's that's the part that gets me. I really do not understand.
All right. Well, I could explain that a little bit. So the Lindrum is just a digital drum machine. It's not that exciting. So you're creating the same interface, but that's boring. That's not going to sell. People are going to get bored of that machine fast. So they've been, all right, let's make it so that you can change your own drum sounds. And that is something people did with Lindrums. Like Prince had a EEPROMer, so he could program his own chips.
Yeah.
And people did that for the what's the other one that I'm thinking of? The Oberheim DMX, and there was another one, but Tears for Fears had both of them, and there
was a DX and a DMX, I think.
Yeah, so they programmed their own chips with a Promer, or their producer did. The guy that did the music for the masses, where he did he put the John Bonham Led Zeppelin drums on these chips. So when they play Shout, that is the Led Zeppelin kick and snare, but it's coming out of this drum machine, which changes the sound.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And so here, in this way, you don't have to buy a Promer, you don't have to burn chips. So it makes sense that they're doing this, because that, when Tears for Fears actually, Behringer owns Tears for Fears' equipment. They bought it for restoration, and they did the restorations themselves. So they probably have a box of these chips to work with.
Yeah.
And so this makes a lot more sense. You don't have to burn your own chips. You can just load files in and create a modern workflow.
Well,
so it makes sense.
The thing I specifically think is weird is that they made it look like a Lindrum.
Exactly.
Well, but people did that with the Lindrum. They did that with these other drum machines. But again, they're just cashing in on the, hey, remember this thing that you like and you can't buy? Because what do Lindrums cost now? Like $2-3 grand?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're not worth $2 or $3 grand.
Yeah, the MIDI sync stuff.
So I get that. It's kind of like MPC, reproducing the old look of one of their old things on that new thing that's still crap.
Yeah,
it's just to sell to hipster nostalgia, and it's going to work.
Sure.
Yeah, they're definitely going to sell 10,000 of these things.
I do like the idea, though, of a unit that does something simple, and to be able to just focus on musicianship sometimes and not have to be constantly under the hood, fixing stuff. So, I mean, there is some benefit to that. And the good news is it won't be terribly expensive. So if you have the physical space for it, then rock on.
Yeah, I bet it'll be like, what's the TR8 and
TR8S,
or what are they? No, the
RD8.
Yeah, that's right, the RD8. I bet it'll be like that, like $349.
probably.
If that.
Oh, the Mark II.
Oh, we'll talk about that one.
Yeah, I just mean the new Elm drum or whatever.
Oh, the LM drum. Yeah.
It'd probably be about the same as the RD8 and RD9.
Looks like they're putting everything in the same chassis, which is a very
If so, that'll be a cheap sampler.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially if it's not Raspberry Pi based.
I mean, what's the SP is like 400, I think.
I think so.
You have to look. I bought mine so long
I think
ago.
it was,
I
I think it
don't
was
even know what it's.
$399.
Yeah.
New NU Softing SynMad is a virtual analog soft synth that just came out recently. VA and physical modeling synth for improvising sounds, which is this really busy looking interface that actually looks pretty cool. in the end, it's just a really weird way of working. In that it is has this thing called a delay network. That's like 3 delay lines and comb filters feeding into each other. And each voice on the synth has its own delay network. And 8 voices of polyphony. What? So
this thing is so bonkers, man.
This is
I love
shit
it.
bonkers. Like it's like what? Design.
You know who I can see making this? I can see Yamaha making this in a single rack mount unit with just 2 buttons.
Yeah. and 8.
Like so that they would make it that has all this power under the hood. You can do amazing things with it, but it'll take you like a year and a half to get that sound developed.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So things like it's.
But yeah, it's a crazy interface on this thing.
So, and watching the video on that it sounds nuts. And watching how this thing works is just bizarre. It's fun though. It's like it's 81 euros, so that's like what, $1.50? $2? What's a euro worth nowadays?
Oh, I'm not tracking it.
Well,
Hey Siri, what's 81 euros in US dollars?
81 euros is $96.02.
So much for parity.
Yeah, I know, right? so much for now Apple's going to sue us because you invoked Siri.
We get a payout for that. Anytime you say Apple and it's not the villain in a story, you get a payout. It's just like Deluge.
But Apple is the my story.
Ching, ching, ching.
Christoph.
Stop crying, Christoph.
You know what you did, Apple. You know what you did. Bring back Sound Diver. If Apple brings back Sound Diver, all is forgiven.
We should probably maybe have the X Studios law team led by Commander Root take a look at that.
Bring back 1/8-inch jacks, please.
I decided that Commander Root is our lawyer because he's on everybody's channel and he's watching. He's going to check for copyright infringement for us and everything. So he's our law team.
He's a commander.
He's a former military lawyer for the Navy.
Oh, like Jag.
Yeah. Like Jag.
The Jag.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Remember that show?
Judge Advocate General, I think is
what a television show that
right?
was.
Nothing beats the thrills of courtroom drama mixed with military romance.
Yeah, that whole show I think came out of A Few Good Men. Wasn't that? The sort of like we get these like sort of cultural zeitgeists when people think something is neat. Like there's that joke that if you want to know whether there are more people in medical school than law school, look and see what is more popular right now in the media. Yeah. So if there's
Yeah, that was on CBS though, right?
Was that Jag? Oh, I never.
It was on CBS. So I'm sure it was a huge hit at retirement homes all over the country.
If they put it like back to back with Matlock.
Yeah, it's like people just want to hear voices. That's all it is. It doesn't matter what they're saying.
In the night, Murder She Wrote.
They don't even have to finish the plot. Just talk a lot so that people feel alone.
Play it at 4 o'clock so you can watch it just after dinner.
Man,
they need to do the crossover with Murder She Wrote, where Angela Lansbury shows up and suddenly somebody dies because she's the real killer.
She is. That's why everyone dies when she's around.
Yeah.
Man, I can't wait till I'm friggin' 88. I'm going to be watching Max Headroom smoking a giant Philly.
When I'm 88, I'm going to be solving mysteries with Jessica Lansbury.
Oh,
Matlock!
Man.
When I'm 80, I've been dead for 27 years.
Hello, Loop Lindrum. We were just talking about your clone. Thanks for joining us.
Indeed, we were.
Yeah. Yes,
Well,
Act Detect. Good seeing you as always. Thanks for being here. So, also on the soft synth news front, the Nemesis 2 reinventing FM synthesis with Neo FM.
Oh my gosh.
Neo.
So, is anybody here a fan of shit posting?
Maybe a little bit.
Because this company is shit post, and so if you're a fan of that, this is the company for you.
Wait,
and if
what?
you think it's just in there, you've got to look at the manual for this synth. it is just full of trashing everybody else and talking how it's the greatest thing ever. And so yeah, they're not reinventing FM. But it's a really good synth. I will give them credit. They really know their stuff. And so like, you know how like DX synthesis isn't really FM synthesis, it's phase, and nobody gives a crap. So they shit all over that in this manual too. It's like this, so they're super elitist. And so if you're laughing with them, it's okay. But yeah, it's definitely whoever wrote this manual is probably the same guy who wrote this software. So it's just full of shit talking and trashing everything else. That said, the presets on it are fantastic. But is it reinventing FM synthesis? Absolutely not. But that's a good thing because it does a lot of things that you can't really do with FM. So this is much more related, I would say, to Serum than it is to FM.
Mm-hmm.
So you only have 2-operator FM, but you have 2 layers of 2-operator FM. So it's not like you can do like a 5-operator algorithm, but it does the effects chaining, within your oscillator section that you would see in like Serum. So it sounds great. This is more going after like Serum and Vital and like the Excess virus. So it does sound really good. If you want to make that kind of music, this is definitely a synth that you should look and consider. But does it really reinvent FM? No. But is it a very interesting synth? Yeah, actually it is. I looked into it, and the way its oscillator structure is, it's unique and it's really powerful. So it's a solid synth. It's $100, so it's not cherry audio deal. But even if not, if you're a fan of shit posting, download the manual for this synth and take a look at it, because it's so arrogantly written. I mean, I just loved it. I'm not really, you're normally a big shit poster, but after I watched that HBO documentary about discovering who was behind QAnon, I've become a little bit of a fan of how like insane people get. And so the people who wrote this manual, or the guy, he's insane, but it's kind of awesome too.
Yeah, and with QAnon, there's implications to it. It's perfectly fine to be crazy with synths.
It is.
This is exactly the place where the world needs that.
Especially, because there's like a million synth companies, there's a million soft synths, and they're charging money when there's already a ton of great free ones. How dare you? But so they're talking shit like there's a band, Velvet Acid Christ, and this guy became legendary for talking shit on like Rec Music Industrial and how much better his band was than Skinny Puppy, which is insane. But and then he would talk about his record sales, and because he's a crazy person. I think he's medicated now, so maybe he's no longer a crazy person. But back then, definitely crazy. And so this will help him stand out. But not just that though. This is a good synth. And if you're making this kind of music, if you're making trance, EDM, dubstep, this is a synth that you should consider. You should definitely at least demo it or watch the video. It does sound really good. They do back it up with something that is there. But,
unlike Velvet Acid Christ.
Yeah, it is much better than Velvet Acid Christ. And it is an inventive synth, and it has a lot of power. You can do a lot of interesting things with it.
It's more than just writing a bass line with a 4/4 kick drum and a 2-minute-long alien sample?
Yeah, no, wait, Star Trek sample? Yeah.
Whichever movie he was watching at the time?
Yep. I mean, it's amazing how you can't get away with that at all anymore. But people much sampling back in the 80s and 90s.
Oh my gosh.
He was he was more like the early knots, and you could still get away with it more then.
He was going strong in the late 90s, but early aughts too.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it is all early aughts.
They were on
I don't know. I was only like 8 or 9 years old back then.
I think I discovered them on a compilation, I want to say 97.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So this synth is kind of the equivalent of shit posting that Velvet Acid Christ was. And the manual is fun, but they clearly really know their stuff. They really know their math, and they produced a very good synth.
Nice.
So despite the arrogance of their advertising, it is something good. So I don't own it, so if it's buggy, I can't speak to that. But it does. The demo sounded really good, and the manuals definitely demonstrated a real historical knowledge of synthesis, different methods, and how to innovate on them. So it's not really groundbreaking FM, but it is using frequency modulation, which is lacking in a lot of VAs.
And it's available for $100 US.
Yeah.
Not a bad price for the world's first Neo FM synthesizer.
Remember that one FM?
Yes, FM.
Even that way better
Yeah,
name.
I agree.
Oh, that was a
FM
great
is a
name.
fantastic one. Novation has announced that the Circuit Rhythm is now available for pre-order, and they did it in their usual way where every YouTube influencer got a Circuit Rhythm and reviewed it at the same time. They didn't send us one.
Not us. Sure.
I know. I think that'd be great if they started sending us like just one, and then we all had to like somehow review it.
We just cut it into 4 parts.
No, I
Each
think
person
it'd
gets a
be
part.
better if it was just kind of like, each like it would go to one person. We'd all have to like yell at them to do stuff with it.
No, the other knob. Turn the other knob.
Exactly. There was a video game on like the iPad for a while, and it was like you had to, 2 people had to have the game, and the whole point of the game was you had to tell the other person to do something. And it would pop up and it would say, do this, and you had to tell them to do it, and it would go faster and faster, and you'd have to find like on your screen you'd have like, and basically it was a spaceship that was falling apart, and it would just like flash like something like, turn the negative actuator by 27 degrees, and then the person had to find where the negative actuator was on their screen and turn it until it like hit 27 degrees, and that kind of shit. Oh look. See, a member of the legal team just jumped into the chat room. FR1A233A wants to become famous by followers, primes, and followers. Views on.
That's
I'm
how we're
switching
going to get that
mute now.
free circuit rhythm.
I know. These are the people that are going to get this to us, isn't it? Thank you. I'm going to call you Friar. B got banned. Christoph took away our fun. Anyway. So yeah, I think that if we ever get review items, that's how we have to do it. Is we have to like literally like one person has to have the device and the rest of us have to yell at him to do things to it.
I think that would.
Terrible.
There's got to be a market for that. That would actually be very funny. You could do it. There could be a whole shtick around this about you could even do it in person together with one person blindfolded and the other one giving directions or something. Like there's lots of very funny ways that could produce some very
I think that'd
unintended
be
results.
great. I mean, it's like
RD9, but will it blend?
yeah, right. Yeah, it's like well, I mean, like right now, whenever I do like what I call explaining shows, where it's just like I have a piece of gear and I go into it, and then people ask me questions. It'd be like that, but unlike the civility of being able to choose to ignore the chat when I'm talking, you can't because we're just yelling it at you, and it's not just like oh, can you show me how to do this? It's more like turn that knob, turn that one right now.
Did y'all ever see Twitch Plays Pokemon?
No.
Twitch Plays Pokemon was one. I don't know. This is probably 5 or 6 years ago, and I think that was the first one of them that actually happened. But whoever invented it was brilliant. And essentially what they did was they coded a system in which the viewers were controlling a Pokemon game via chat. There was no human input at all. It was completely the chat. And so it got to where there were a gazillion people watching it, and the machine, that was playing based on the chat could not at all keep up with what was going on in chat, and it produced some absolutely insane results that were very funny. They eventually beat the game. It took forever, but it was very funny to watch. And I've got something in mind. Like that's the kind of format that I have in my mind that could be very funny for something like this.
I think so. So yeah, companies that are watching, or if you have if you know a company that wants their stuff reviewed terribly.
Or blended.
Or blended. Or even possibly made love to. Because that might be what we're screaming. You need to fuck that thing right now. Fuck it.
That's what they said I gotta do.
All right. Fine.
Yeah. I've got a fancy blender. I'm not going to have sexy time with the blender. I'm just going to go on record.
Okay.
That's off limits.
All right.
Okay. The blender goes to Christoph then.
Well, so I have a
We could-
blender, and also I'm single. So if I need to make love to an Udo 6, I will.
Yeah.
Hint, hint.
I'll totally get that synth pregnant.
the song that I heard. Alleged a blue Super 6 will be here.
Yep. And then
Yeah.
we will work on putting a baby in it.
That blue one is nice, though. It's very nice.
Anyway, the circuit rhythm. It is a sampler. That's the thing that takes it totally different from the circuit tracks, as it is a sampler. You can slice them, reverse them, play them chromatically, which you can't do on. You can't play samples chromatically on a regular circuit unless you have Loop Op's secret sauce.
Sorry.
Be a patron to get that
This
secret
is
sauce
a
from Loop Op.
segue from our earlier
I
conversation.
know, right?
discussed.
Speaking of putting a
I
baby
got
in
love
things. Otherwise, it's like a
It's
similar.
very well spent collecting the feed.
Otherwise, it's a similar build to the circuit tracks. Does not have separate MIDI out, so you actually would be getting your sacrificing drum channels for MIDI if you wanted to go that route, kind of thing. But otherwise, it's a similar box and everything like that. I feel that they, like with the original circuit, they finally hit a brick wall as far as what they were able to put into it, and so they had to release something new. And I think that they realized that with what they're doing, they couldn't put sampling into the device, so they had to come up with another device that would do it. And I think that because I mean the circuit is a very basic. It's kind of like the beginner groove box kind of thing, but it is ridiculously powerful for what it is. For you're spending like $300 on a device that like really fucking slices, dices, and makes julienne fries and cuts through a tin can. I mean, it's better than a Ronco knife. I mean, it's a really well built machine. And I think that what happened is that and these guys were literally cramming everything into these little machines using elven magic, I think. And I think that when they came out with the circuit tracks and as they were developing it, they probably realized they couldn't put things like sampling into it because all that shit was taken up by everything else that it does already. I don't know. What do y'all think?
So $400, man, $399.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking at this thing, and it's interesting because there's been a real boost in the last year and a half in the market with like the MC 505 or whatever, all those little Roland things, and everyone's coming out, and even Akai is sort of semi-struggling to come up with this low-end sampler market. And I know Korg has been in that space with the Electribe and stuff. Mm-hmm. But I'm looking at this. I don't know very much about these things. You know way more about the circuits in general. But for $399, this thing looks really cool. Like if I was just going to do, I mean, it's got like lo-fi effects. It's got a bunch of stuff. Mm-hmm. Master compressors. Holy crap. I'm thinking back to the Ensoniq ASR-X, right? Mm-hmm. Which is the great-great-grandfather of this type of thing. And man, this thing looks pretty cool.
I kind of feel like...
Well, the ASR-X, though, had, 32-note polyphony. Mm-hmm. I think this has 8.
Yeah.
With the ARSX had 32-note polyphony.
Yeah.
I don't remember. That was the one. There was like the ASR-10 they shipped in what looked like a I guess a drum machine format.
Well, what's the ASR-10 have?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Off the top of my head. But no, I can't. I would imagine it would have the same polyphony as ASR-10 because I think really what they did is they shoved the guts of that thing in there. But just like in terms of all the outboard effects, and while it is true that it is not reinventing the wheel here, I can see maybe for entry level or someone that doesn't have anything that does this, it would make sense.
I would say that if you are already working a lot in the innovation circuit ecosystem, then this thing is fantastic. Like, because this frees up a whole lot of space on the circuit itself, where you don't have to use the drums, you don't use the sample slots as drums anymore, because you got like this cool little thing over here, and it will do that kind of stuff. But it's weird because like there's some weird limitations that this thing has on it. Like I said, like you can't doesn't have separate MIDI channel sequencers on it, which is something that the Circuit Tracks does have.
Huh. Yeah, that's very weird.
Well, as Andrew is saying, it's probably just to sit alongside your other circuit and to just take that one roll of drum sampler.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why like they want you to really use the other one or to buy.
So,
it's like an expander.
So I just looked. The ASR10 has one voice polyphony. And how much was that one when it was new?
A lot.
So for very little, it seems pretty reasonable. And I think also kind of depends on what you're doing. I don't know. Like I've definitely found limits of polyphony to be unpleasantly limiting on some devices. And on other devices, I think it sort of is less important, but it's kind of I think a lot down to, what kind of music do you want to make with it and what do you want to do with the thing. But for $400, I don't know, seems pretty good.
Where I run into polyphony problems the most is with drums, with drum tails or drum decays.
Mm-hmm.
So, but this would be similar to that Korg ES1 has very limited polyphony as well.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I think there it might even be 6, because I know you have 8 parts, but at least 2 of them are choking each other. So this could be the same. I don't know.
It does. Yeah. You can set it up to choke each other, but you can turn that off too.
Yeah, on the ES, for 2 of the channels you can't.
Yeah.
The ES1 anyway.
Yeah, it's like
so
it's like the
hardwired in.
It's like the rhythm is like that too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But hey, it looks cool. I mean, it's not something that I'm really interested in looking at. Like the Circuit Tracks is fun to play with right now, but I'm not looking to expand into like the going full balls into that whole thing. It ain't no deluge.
Dang!
Yes. Another
nice.
All right, we'll just every time he mentions deluge, we drink.
I gotta drive tomorrow. I can't do that.
We're all drinking water.
Seltzer.
Yep.
It's slightly inclemently hot here in Chicago, so.
Yeah.
I could tell because it kind of looks like you're standing next to the sun on the screen, Justin.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's this camera in Linux. It has its own ideas, and the little LED from the microphone makes me look crazy.
I know.
Yeah, you're currently underlit.
Oh yeah, I'm very underlit.
Yeah.
But if I turn this light on, it's gonna look ridiculous.
Yeah. It's kind of sexy. I don't know. I like it. It's like a oh, where'd he go? There he is. It's like a floating pair of glasses.
Nice.
Yes.
That's what I've often described.
Huh?
So yeah, Circuit Rhythm looks cool. But not as cool as our next story, where the mad scientists at MIT, in all of their wisdom, Devo 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Indeed, it is a warm time here in Cleveland as well. Anyway, the the Media Lab MIT scientists and all their insanity never asked whether we should have knitted keyboards. They just decided to make knitted keyboards. And what better on a hot summer's day than to bust out your knitted keyboard made of the finest Aberdeen wool, and start wrapping it around your neck in 120-degree weather and start playing a few keys and making some notes out of it.
Dude,
Yeah.
it's fucking banana pants. That's all I'm gonna say.
This thing is like cottagecore
Cottagecore.
in real life as a thing, and it.
So this is
I love that it
this
exists,
is
and I
this is
hate
what I
it.
aspire to be. This is my goal right here.
Well, you're gonna need 2 of them. You got to.
Man.
I mean, and then for those quiet contemplative moments, I can hear like a sad piano sound on this.
Oh my god.
You know,
Oh yeah.
Well, they need a giant 32-note polyphony Doctor Who scarf.
yeah,
think
I
that
know,
would
right?
probably-
Can you imagine?
Yeah.
Like reach down on my knees here
The
to hit those low
polyphony's
notes.
bigger on the inside.
So yeah, this
I mean-
is digital knitting technologies. Apparently, it's actually multi-layered, with a conductive layer and piezo-resistive knit. I like that it almost sounds bulletproof.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, this is they took this very seriously, and there's science on this website. I'm looking at it right now.
Science.
It is an impressive feat, I guess, in some way. I mean, I'm sure that it's very funny. Like sometimes technology winds up producing some sort of particularly absurd thing like this, and then there'll be a really useful practical implication down the line for it. Of like they'll figure out how to use this technology to save people's lives when their legs get amputated or something. Like there'll be some bizarre use for it down the line, and that'll be great. And then we'll all be glad that some bozo knitted a keyboard. But until then, this bozo's knitted a keyboard, and you know that they're playing the tweest, most awful, cute, adorable music on this thing, and I just hate it.
Well, sometimes you're crawling through the Jeffries tube, and then you meet up with the captain, and he wants to play his flute, so you just roll it out, and you can just play it.
It's true.
Bouncing around the tubes for that
Now
echo.
think that now if I'm looking at this, and they actually like there's this stuff is like the sensors on this stuff has proximity. It has it also detects stretch. So as you play the keys and you stretch them back and forth, they'll do things. And I mean, this could be the future of MPE controllers.
Yeah. There are some implications to it. It just looks like a sweater.
I bet it feels much better on the hand than the Rolly Seaboard, because that thing, man, I tried playing that, and it's just like, oh man, I can feel like the layers of flesh peeling off of my fingers as I was like, playing with that thing.
That is the arthritis maker for sure.
It is so gross.
Yeah, it really is.
It feels like it's just full of, I don't know.
It feels like I'm playing a real doll.
Yeah, it's like full of like sort of squishy, kind of fleshy, rubbery gloop.
Yeah.
I don't like it.
It's gross. I like my Linstrument, and
I just want Andrew to get points because he knows what a real doll feels like.
That's right, buddy.
But no, I do think I know who the market for this is. There used to be this band. I don't know if they're still around. It was misspelled. It was called Fish with a PH.
I think I've heard of this band.
This is their instrument.
Nice.
You know, like
They don't play electronic stuff though.
Yeah, but now they will
the
because
guitars
it's made
and
out of yarn.
Yeah, no, they have a. It's a digitally woven fabric. Thank you very much.
Yep.
There's a long
So
tradition to
Fish
this.
will
MIT.
find a way to put hemp inside this thing. And they will, and they're gonna do whatever they do, whatever horror they inflict upon humanity. They're gonna do it with this thing now.
And they're gonna look like that.
Yeah.
Like this right here. That's the '80s band that plays this thing. That right there. That's it.
You know who they need to model it? The homoerotic rat from that John Oliver bought last year.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
Let's do it.
Yeah. So yeah, the knitted keyboard for folks that really like knitting or wearing knits, I suppose. Or if you're just a nitwit. Thank you.
Nice.
Oh, I can't believe we spent more time on that than we should have. So Boss, and I don't mean me, the Boss Pedal Company out of Walla Walla, Washington. We've talked about them just the other little bit ago, about their pedals with their birthdays and everything like that. They released the Waza Craft version of the HM2 heavy metal pedal. The heavy metal pedal. I like that. So let's talk about that a little bit. Jeff, you posted this, I think, didn't you?
Yeah, well, it was mostly just because I noticed, they were doing the anniversary edition, or not anniversary edition, but sort of the anniversary celebration of a couple of the pedals, and the HM2 was one of them. And so I thought it was just kind of neat that they put this one out. Most of the Wazacraft stuff, I think, is just actually more expensive with kind of a worse foot pedal on it. But sometimes it's a little bit different. So this one has, just wait for it. This is very good. So in case the original heavy metal pedal wasn't aggressive sounding enough for you, then the HM2 Wazacraft version is more aggressive sounding.
Oh, good.
And yeah, I mean, basically the original HM2, if you ask it to, will turn everything into something that sounds like it's got like a glass pack muffler on it. It just turns everything into a bee in a tin can. So they added more of that to it. But I don't know. I'm glad that they're trying to celebrate it. It's been an influential pedal. I like the HM2, and I don't know. I think that Boss pedals are in general like quite good, and that people. It's funny. It's one of those things where I think the widespread use of a thing sometimes leads people to think that it isn't great. They're relatively inexpensive. They're not dirt cheap. I mean, they're not like the Behringer pattern pedals or the Moore pedals or anything, but they're pretty good. And one of the things that I have always been impressed with is how good their buffers are on the pedals, especially like if you're chaining a bunch of them together with a guitar. Like that's where your tone just gets zapped, and theirs are good. But yeah, it's 29 forever. Never gets older than 29 years old.
Yeah.
And
speaking of, so I've only owned 4 pedals, and I currently only own 3 pedals. 2 of them are HM2s.
Yeah.
Did you buy them when you
So
were
are you going to
0?
get this?
Distortion. Say that
Did
again?
you buy them when you were 29?
Yes.
So you just bought them.
So. Yes. I mean, in the sense that time has no meaning for me. So, but no, it's a really good distortion pedal. One of my favorite bands is Bile. They used it quite heavily in the 90s and early 2000s. It's a different sound than the Metal Zone, but if you use it right, it sounds fantastic. It's a really good pedal. So I have 2 of those. I have the Metal Zone, which we talked about a couple weeks ago. And the other one I used to have and I really miss is the pitch shifter delay pedal. I think it was the PS2. That pitch shift sound was really good.
Yeah, that is a good one.
And they go for like 180 used now. And it just had a really good squelchy sound to it that I really miss. It was really good for like when you put like a drum through it, it has a really unique sound. The Skinny Puppy used something like that on their old demos. It wasn't that pedal because it didn't exist then, but you can use it quite effectively.
Yeah.
And also as a delay, it was a good looping delay. So you could do and it was really long, almost infinite. So you could do like the kind of stuff that people do with the loopers now with it. But yeah, it's good that this HM2 is getting re-released. I don't know if it's virtual or if it's the actual analog circuitry. But it's a good, it's a pedal that has a lot of, nuance to its tone. So, it can really do something, and it's good that people can buy something that isn't 30 years old and get this.
Yeah, I concur. I really like the Boss pedals. I use them. I was talking to Jeff earlier about this, but for my bass rig, 4 out of my 5 pedals are Boss, and the guitar rig is a little different. It's pretty much all boutique, but I do have the Wazacraft C1 because I really like that core sound, that 80s core sound. So like, and it sounds great. I like it.
Yeah, it's solid. I have a bunch of pedals that aren't Boss right now, and I've actually been thinking about, should I just get the Boss version of this? Because sometimes there's something about them that's just more predictable and more usable, and a lot of the boutique pedals, I mean, especially if you try to throw anything unusual at them, they give you particularly unusual and interesting results, but there's something about the Boss pedals that's just like very, I don't know, it's very easy to get a very usable sound in a wide variety of circumstances out of them, which I think makes them, I don't know, really successful. So,
Yeah,
good on you, Boss.
I would say
making your
they're
Wazacraft
they're
pedals.
the sort of meat and potato pedals, right? I mean, if you're like a shoegaze or a dream pop player, you can throw all these boutique pedals at the wall, like you said, but in some ways, are you going to keep, that crazy pedal that does that one really weird thing forever? Probably not.
Yep.
If I still had my original DoD delay pedal, I would be a happy camper. But I don't.
John Haynes, that was the Boss Metal Zone guitar pedal. That was the COVID 5G circuit.
It was indeed. So there are two Boss distortions that I really hate. I want to say they're the OD1 and the DS1. The one where they reproduce that circuit in the TB303. So I've discussed how much I hate that. I hate the TB303 distortion, add-on circuit. It's a terrible distortion. It's like a single band distortion. It's just awful. Like single band digital distortion. It's just awful. But the Metal Zone and the HM2 are great distortions.
I want to see an 8-hour review of you doing the TB303. I think that would be great, Christoph. Like you could do it in 8 installments of like here's the sequencer. This is why it will make you crazy and makes no sense. Here's the limited crappy palette that only a true acid head could appreciate.
But look on the bright side. Look on the bright side. It evolved into this thing.
Yeah.
All the welcome to Burger King. May I take your order? TB3.
This thing is the dumbest piece of garbage in the world. I got it for $99, and I feel like I spent too much on that.
You overpaid by hundreds.
It might be worth it.
But Andrew,
I do understand the appeal of the 303. Don't get me wrong. I just hate its use. I understand that having those knobs that you could twist and mutate in performance.
Sure.
And I understand how it spawned a genre. But I still hate it.
Fair.
Yeah, but the TD3 is just dumb. It's just dumb.
Yeah, the whole IRA range had a lot of dumb going on.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the TR8 they got right, but everything else.
Well, they got the
rubbish.
TR8 right even more when they made the TR8S and kind of removed all the era or Aria, whatever the fuck they pronounce that thing. The whole
Area.
I would say I don't want to call it really like decor. I wouldn't want to call it. I don't know.
Oh, you're talking about the green space
they were
alien.
just ugly. They're just not really nice.
Yeah.
They weren't really built very well either.
Plus, they made me pay for TR707 kits, man. The TR8S, like all of it came bundled, like all the TRs.
Yeah. Well, it's Roland.
The 606.
Yeah, Roland isn't gonna do anything if they're not gonna fuck people over.
If the TR8 is missing, it needs to have ground effects.
Yeah, right. John Haynes says that I still own it, which you don't own your squid. I still own my squid because no one's buying my squid because that's how bad the squid is nobody wants to buy it. The squid is terrible. It's been sitting there. It's sitting there right next to the other unsellable piece of gear that I have, which is the Arturia drum brute. No one wants to touch that. I might be able to sell it if I.
Yeah, dude, I finally shifted mine, but it took a long time.
Yeah, people are not into it. I haven't got it sent. I even got it sent in to get the chip repaired in it too. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And they were nice enough. They sent me a T-shirt and like a little messenger bag and stuff like that, and a bunch of like cool little things. like little like tchotchkes and everything like that. But
Tell you the impact is pretty
yeah,
pretty badass.
that's because,
though.
yeah,
Again, it's like here, let's beta test on people who buy things.
yeah, and we'll talk about that in a minute.
Yeah, we will.
Yes, we will. Oh yeah, the Matrixbrute. Speaking of Arturia, they've gone the route of so many companies that decided once upon a time that they wanted to make things look unique and interesting, and they decided to make it black instead. So another piece of black gear from the the sadness that was like the Moog grandmother in all of its beautiful McDonald land colors. And like the 1999 gray of the Electron gear back to the black stuff, and even the going from the black to the disgusting tan color that Akai did with the and now Arturia decided that they just wanted to make the Matrixbrute the color of all the rest of your synthesizers.
Well, and maybe during the age of severe chip shortages around the world, they're like, what can we do to remarket existing stuff in our warehouse, right? Let's just pull the chassis apart, spray paint them black,
Or
put them back on there.
Let's spray paint them the other
little
colors.
orange top on. Yeah, put the little orange knob on there, and you're good to go. Yeah.
Well, yeah, in my opinion, every synth color is good as long as it's black.
Ah, nice.
That's what Henry Ford said.
Yeah, he was kind of a fascist, but it was.
I don't know anything about Henry Ford other than assembly line, and you can have the Model T in any color you want as long as it's black.
Yeah.
That's all. That's
Now I know three things about Henry Ford.
You got the entire history right there. I don't know. I think the M1000 is still
also a believer
beautiful.
of eugenics.
Yeah. What was that, Christoph?
He was also a eugenics guy.
Yeah.
It's a total creep as a person.
Yeah. Go look at the asterisk next to fascist, right?
Yeah, right.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Like a plus, actually.
Yeah.
Like fascist plus.
Yeah.
Cool. Sounds like a great
Although
dude.
I still want to get back up to the Harry Ford Museum just so I can see the Dymaxion house.
I see that.
This thing is cool. I mean, look, I know, Andrew, we've not always agreed on the Matrixbrute. When I was in Portland and I was in a synth shop, because they actually have those in Portland, which is pretty wacky. And I'll tell you, the thing sounded really good to my ears, and I really, really like it. Even when they came out with the Polybrute, and I realized they didn't really do the same thing. It wasn't a polyphonic version of the Matrixbrute. I mean, the whole like VCA, everything's different on purpose, right? That's cool. My problem with this thing is it's fucking huge. It's huge. Where the fuck am I going to put this thing? You know what I mean? And
You
It's
got a couple
enormous.
things you can get rid of back there, like that. Was it that Prophet 5 thing? You can probably dump.
yeah. Oh, you mean the thing
If
I'm
you want to
taking?
throw that away, I'll pick it up for you.
The thing I'm taking to my
just go ahead
grave.
when you
I'm
come
gonna
out
be
here.
like
Just drop it off.
in Young Frankenstein, holding the.
I mean,
the book,
I mean, here's the thing: you can buy a Matrixbrute, and you can store it at my house with the grandmother and the Odyssey that's sitting over here right now, as well as your Digatone, and oh yeah, your drum machine, your mono machine there, your mono machine there too. We can move all those out of the way.
Fair
And we
enough.
can put the Matrixbrute there instead.
No.
I'm just
It's very
I'm
generous
Justin's
of you.
part-time storage
Yeah.
locker.
I know. I mean, look, you can see. Look at this joint. This is ridiculous. But it is what it is.
Just messing with you.
If anything, I got to shed stuff. I got to get rid of it. And that's not an invitation to rob me, please. I just meant like I have to make sensible decisions.
Yeah, I think that
about
the Matrixbrute is. I mean, I didn't really gel with it when I was messing with it at Moogfest a number of years ago. I would say that if you are a strong person, you could definitely bludgeon somebody with it a couple fold times over. But it's really heavy, so you have to be a very strong person in order to lift that over your head to bludgeon people. So I give it the credit for that.
Knock it down.
Loop Limdrum,
Knock it down.
thank you for
Cast
following.
balls.
So yeah, that's I
Yeah.
get that. One of these days, we do need to create like the D&D guide for like what synthesizers and what their encumbrance and what like their damage would be and stuff like that, by dice and everything like that.
Yeah.
I need a fucking bag of holding is what
Yeah.
I need.
The OP6, it's 0 D0
Yeah.
dice.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
It weighs 3 ounces and is definitely made out of
Yeah.
saran wrap.
Yeah. That's I have the wave
The
state.
wave
And it's
state?
the same chassis and everything like that. Same build.
Yep.
It's weird when the Deluge weighs more than the Op 6 and the.
I really like the Op 6. So like it's light. I think the keyboard feels a little floppy on it, but it's totally playable, and at least it's got
Yeah,
full
it doesn't
size
have
keys.
Aftertouch, but yeah.
But when I took that thing out of the box, I was like, did they forget to put the insides inside?
Well, that's a Raspberry Pi
Yeah, I
inside,
think
isn't
so.
it?
I think so, yeah. It starts up really fast to be a Raspberry Pi. I don't know.
So
I still love that.
That's the size of the Deluge.
Yeah.
Are you like a forced perspective Hobbit thing there? I'm a little confused.
I like that. I just like that the Polygon tracker is running Android.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Yeah.
A lot of the little vintage games things that you can buy on Alibaba all run in Android OS.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah, they have those vintage games on the Polygon tracker. You can play them on there now. It's actually one of a firmware upgrade they put out. So,
If you have an Android phone or an Android tablet, there's a tracker you can download and run for free called Milky Tracker, which is a Fast Tracker 2 clone.
Nice.
Yeah, and super handy.
Because yeah, I mean, Android's really suffered from the audio perspective for a long time.
They really do. I mean, if you have an Android anything, you should definitely own Caustic, which is like having Reason in your pocket. But if you like tracking, which is what I was using before I had Caustic, then yeah, I was all about Milky Tracker. I used to run it on my iPad.
Nice.
It's a good point from Loop Lindrum in the chat about the Deluge and its weight. How much of it is battery and end cheeks? The battery in that thing has got to be approximately the entirety of the chassis. It goes forever.
have you opened it before?
I haven't.
Do you know
No.
what the Deluge is running off of? It's literally a vape battery. You can go to a vape store and replace your battery.
Oh,
yeah,
huh.
the battery is tiny.
Interesting. Well, it lasts
like
forever.
that, and it's a 6-hour battery life.
That's
Yeah,
crazy.
I mean, if you open the bad boy up, I mean, it's 2 circuit boards like laying on top of each other, and that's it. And it's heavier because it's mostly the box is made out of metal, and those delicious wooden end cheeks.
Okay.
I'm even more impressed, Sandstrom. Send me another one. I have 2 hands. I can use 2 at once.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing that blew me away because I was thinking the same thing. It's like, man, this thing must be all battery. And then I was reading on there like, because I got mine used, and I'm like, how do you replace the battery just in case? And just like I emailed them like, well, we can send you one for this much amount of money, or you can just go to, if there's a vape store nearby, you can just get this type of battery for a vape, and it's the same battery. And I'm like, what?
Huh.
So
Nice.
That's funny.
yeah. So, but yeah, and yeah, people doing battery upgrades using those vape batteries, and you can totally do that on the Deluge. You'll incur the wrath of Ian. No, not really. I'm sure they'll be like, yeah, good luck, buddy. Void of
You
warranty.
can start
But,
a long and rewarding jewel habit while you're there.
yeah,
right?
right, totally. But I mean, they're really. I mean, if
How I describe it.
But even like if you need to like replace any of the parts, like if the pads wear out, you can buy the pads and just drop them in yourself. If one of the knobs breaks, you can just buy a knob from them and pop it on there and stuff like that. They're extremely fixable and stuff like that, and pretty.
I really appreciated that when I was buying mine. I was looking at that stuff on the site, and that's how it ought to be. Like, people ought to be able to.
Yeah, that's.
You got to be able to repair a thing. You can't, like, how can you really own a thing if you're not even allowed to fix it?
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't own it then.
Yeah. But I mean, a lot of the stuff, like, try repairing your Op 6 if that goes,
Well, there's the right to repair, and then there's the making things that can be repaired.
Right.
Yeah, those are 2 different things for sure.
Yeah. So yeah, the Matrixbrute all black. Good job.
Sounds even spookier.
Yep. Prepare yourselves. So all the RD8 owners out there, we Behringer would like to thank you for beta testing their hardware. Now you can go and buy the Mark II, which things are fixed in. So sorry, folks. Okay, yeah. They put a different chip in the RD8 with the Mark II. They made a replica of the BA662 VCA chip, and they promise it'll sound better because of that.
I think it's just part of the VCA or the amplifier. It's part of the. Yeah, it's a VCA chip,
Yeah, it's the VCA.
which is interesting. I don't know if it's supposed to give it that smack or that sizzle. I mean, you could probably do that with a preamp if you were committed. I don't know.
Yeah, that's the only difference is that chip. And, there's a couple. The first 4 buttons are now black on the sequencer.
Oh yeah, I bet. Here's the thing about about TR-808s, and we could talk forever about them. But there's a certain level of with them where like it's almost become abstract to the point where they're not unobtainium.
Right.
They literally don't exist.
Sure.
Meaning that there's no perfect TR-808. I've only played real life once, and what I've heard anecdotally is they all sound a little different.
Mm-hmm.
And always, if you're serious about it, and I love 808s very much, but oh my gosh, it's like a $300-400 808 clone.
Right. I think
cool.
The thing
right?
is like they came out 2 years ago, and the Mark II is out now.
Yeah, well, that's just their bad behavior, and I think part of it is they probably got a lot of feedback. They have been updating the firmware because I this week I told you I was on a firmware update kick, and that's one of the ones I did mostly to get rid of their buggy sequencing stuff, and most of it is not that sound related. Okay, but I would say that what my opinion is this is their experience working on the 606 clone and the RD9 clone. Somebody there got cute and said, hey, we're missing this one thing that gives it some extra sizzle that the Orig had, and we just figured it out with the RD9. Let's resell this thing. It's like, are they doing us a favor or are they beta testing on us? It's kind of hard to say.
I'm gonna view it a different way. They found a way to improve it, and instead of doing another run of the old one, which isn't that great, if they're gonna make more of them, do the upgrade. So, I mean, there's already a worldwide chip shortage. You do these, you don't build them all the time. You do a run, you build up inventory, and then you retool your production line to make something else. So my guess is before they do another line, like, hey, let's use that chip that we just put in the ARPs, and here, let's make it better. We'll call it Mach 2 so that people know which ones are which, or so know it's not compatible. But I mean, I don't think they just put this out for a money grab. People are going to keep buying these things for forever. Because people are in love with the 808s and it's cheap. So instead of making more of the old ones, which people did not really like the RD8. So, I mean, it got a lot of crap for buggy firmware and stuff like that. And they delayed putting out the RD9 for a long time because they know they screwed up the RD8. So now that they've got the RD9 good enough that they're releasing it, then it's time to release the RD8 now with what they've learned in between making the original and the new one. And put that chip in. So, and again, I don't want to be the Behringer apologist, but I get that doing this is not necessarily evil, unlike many other things that Behringer does.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think this thing sounds to me like the analog voicing of over most of it is going to be the same, and the sounds themselves.
Very subtle difference.
Yeah, I mean, the sounds themselves, I mean, not including the amplifier circuit. I mean, maybe they did change it, but it sounded pretty solid to me. I liked it. But it's true, if you wanted to do anything fancy with it, you were in for a little bit of UI hell, especially the first years. Things.
Yeah.
I just thought it was kind of, I mean, Christoph, you were talking earlier about shit posting with that FM synth. Their writing about this thing was like, hello, it's us, Behringer. We made an RD8. It was bad. It's a bad one, and you should feel bad for owning it. We've made a new one. Get the new one. It was just the way that they wrote about it, and then when you actually dug into the details, it felt like it was very subtle, but it almost felt sort of like assaultive to the existing owners
it's your
in a
fault
way.
You bought this from us.
Yeah, and then meanwhile,
knowing that we don't put out good stuff.
Meanwhile, the one that is apparently, according to Behringer, a gigantic piece of shit is still on sale everywhere for $350. And I'm like, just keep buying it. We are sending a new one, but don't buy that one. Buy this one, then buy that one. I don't know. It was a communications thing, which I think.
Their copywriter / proofreader. He's been drinking since 6 a.m.
Yeah.
/ ethicist, yeah.
2016.
God knows.
It's just very
He also
funny
wants to
sometimes.
fight.
Yeah. It's probably
Yeah.
been
I think a
microdoses
lot of the
throughout.
time with Behringer, some of their things just come off, at least to me, very unintentionally quite funny. And this was one of those things where it sounded like they were really taking the piss out of the old one. Meanwhile, it's
Which
still
is
for
still
sale
for-
everywhere.
Yeah.
It seems like, it's questionable. It's like when you're only competing with yourself, you know?
Why would you knock the thing?
Oh,
I
well.
think the left hand and the right hand don't know what's talking. You know who's talking. Like right now, I think the Behringer Neutron is out of print, and so they're gonna have to. But I'm sure they'll do another production run of those as well. I don't know if they'll make any changes to it when they do.
Is the Model D still being made?
Well, if so, they still have supply of it.
Yeah.
I just know
mean,
that
yours is still in its box still, right?
Well, I take it out of the box. I just put it back in the box when I'm not using it
Oh, okay.
because I am short on storage.
That makes sense then.
Yeah.
I'm staring at mine right now. It's right there, out of the box, collecting dust. So more news. The founder of EMS, Peter Zinovieff.
Zinovieff.
I'll let you pronounce that. I'll just say
Peter.
Peter.
It's Zinovieff. Yeah. Peter Z.
Peter Z has died at the ripe old age of 88 years old. This guy that, like I said, founded EMS, was like one of the pioneers of synthesizer manufacturing and development. He created the VCS3 and the Synthi A synthesizers, which are legendary and legendarily expensive pieces of gear. I saw the other week Jean-Michel Jarre was playing a show in Paris for the Paris Music Festival thing, and I think I did see he had his VCS3 still there. Like he still brings it out and plays it.
Well, that's because that dude still owns all his original
He's
shit.
one of those people that never sells a damn thing, right?
Yeah. Hey, I was a smart.
But it's
dude,
one
man.
thing. It's one thing to still have that. It's another thing that he still like plays out with it. He still brings it out.
Right.
It's not like I'm just gonna sample the stuff that I made on here. He's still bringing that thing out.
Pretty sure him and Brian Eno are the only people that ever played it live for any reason ever.
Yeah, I saw Brian Eno's VCS3 as part of the Bowie exhibit.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, nice.
Really influential synths. Very important for moving synthesis along. Used on a lot of groundbreaking stuff. The VCS3, notorious for being more of a sound effects synth than a playable synth because it would never really keep tonality consistent, or even just reproducing any patch with it was always a crapshoot.
That pegboard is pretty crazy, man. It's a crazy way to do business.
It is, but it was a really neat innovation. It empowered a lot of things. He was in that British synth documentary that we all watched and talked about.
Synth Britannia?
Synth Britannia, yeah. He seemed like a really nice guy. And it's a shame that he's gone. But he definitely changed the world.
Absolutely.
So good for him.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and he'll be missed.
Definitely.
The giant one he built. Which one was that? The
big console thing.
What's the one that?
The Synth.
Yeah, the Synthi whatever.
Synthi
Synth
Yeah.
100.
Synth 100. Synth 100.
Yeah.
Synth
Looks like
100.
a giant like Doctor Who from the 70s Operation Console from space.
Yeah. And Analog Solutions is remaking that as a thing called the Colossus, which
Sick.
is, I can't remember how much it costs. It's absolutely like bonkers insane
I think
expensive.
it's like
Is this going to be like the arcade one-up version of this thing,
it's
or
like
what?
the sit-down arcade version. It's like the disc of Tron with the that you stood inside of.
Yeah.
With the,
I think it was like I can't remember. I think it's like $40,000 or $50,000.
right.
So, yeah.
That's so high.
I have to think that Colossus here is a reference to the British supercomputer Colossus built during the war for code breaking. But since it's a British synth and it looks kind of like a mainframe computer.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Be part of their Bletchley Park range. They could do that.
Yeah.
I love that idea.
Exactly.
So other news. Speaking of classics, the classic masturbatorial material of synthesizer fans everywhere, the A to Z of analog synthesizers, which was a book that's been out for a while and out of print for a while, is finally back in print. Peter Force is putting it out on his own website, kind of self-publishing. These are kind of like basically like encyclopedias of analog synthesizers. He just comes out with a new version of it. Lots of research on every single synth and stuff like that. The book gives things like features, production years, retail price, average price as a collectible, pros and cons, like famous users, and photos of all the stuff. And it's a 2-volume encyclopedia of analog synthesizers going for 45 quid, which is, I think it's probably like $80 or something like that. Maybe 75.
Well worth.
Hey Siri, how much is 45 quid in American dollars? I don't know what you're talking about, Andrew.
I thought a quid was a fiver. Is it a pound?
It's a pound.
Yeah.
It's a pound.
Hey Siri,
Wait, is
how
a
many?
pound, yeah.
How many? Oh no, I'm bad at talking. It's not my strong suit. Hey Siri, how many US dollars are in 45 British pounds?
UK sterling.
45 British pounds is $62.17.
There you
Nice.
go. Once
It
again,
was so tempting to yell stuff at you, Jeff, that would get the NSA involved in your life, but I
penises.
chose not to.
My FBI agent's been hanging out with us here all night. You just can't.
Oh no, we see him. He's on here. That's
It's our legal counsel.
17825.
It's Alex Assimilate. That's why I never, comments.
Yeah, right. That's A10. That's Commander Root also works part-time for the FBI. So
Nice.
yep. So yeah, I mean, yeah, Colossus is according to John Haynes is 25,000 Great British pounds sterling plus taxes and shipping, so about like $35,000 or pounds rather.
All right. So
that's not cheap.
and it's huge. So that means Richard Devine will have
Yeah.
one.
And
Yeah.
it'll make
Yeah.
noises.
And
Sure.
they
He has
They-
to add blinky lights to it.
they said on their website with that thing that you do need to make sure that you can get it into your house.
Yeah, and you probably have to run a
And
220 line.
there's all sorts of requirements about like what do the doors need to be and what do the angles need to be, because they do sort of like white glove service, but apparently it's quite difficult to get it into a house.
Jeez.
So, am I remembering correctly? Does Daniel Miller have one of those? I know he has a 2500, but I think he also has a Synthi.
Yeah. He
I
does.
think he got it from the university.
No, he has it, but it doesn't work.
Yeah.
He keeps it in his little studio area. Because it's notorious. I know
Jack
Jack
Danger's
Danger's
had one, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, he has
Yeah.
one. In his beautiful California
I remember.
home.
Hey, I
I don't know
remember
if you saw
there's
it.
an article about like an architecture article about Jack Danger's house a number
Yeah.
of years ago, and it's like a tour.
Dude, his vinyl collection is sick.
Yeah.
It's so cool.
So, one of my synth gods, Alan Howarth, who worked with John Carpenter
Oh, yeah,
on
dude.
his soundtracks. So he talked about what he had to do to his house because he was one of the first home studios, and all the things he had to do. He had to rewire 220 to put a synclavier in. And yeah, and like getting it into the house, like they had to move that. I think they had to knock part of a wall down to get it through because it was just enormous. Yeah,
That's
so
insane.
this is similar. And he doesn't regret it. It cost him, I think, $250,000 for a single ear setup for something that was later, within 10 years, outdated and you could do with a computer. But he said being 10 years ahead of the curve was completely worth it for him.
Nice.
Because he was able to do a lot of things that nobody could do for years.
Here's what I say: is smoke them if you got them.
But I mean, but he also had big clients. Like he was doing movie scores. He did all the soundtracks. He did all the sound effects for the original Star Trek films. So I mean, he was making it back. He could afford to do it.
Yeah.
Oh, sure.
I'm sure he had some angry conversations with his wife, but it worked out for him.
Yeah.
Did he design any theme park ride music with it? Is the real question.
Well, the thing is, his Star Trek sounds get used in everything. So they're in games now. It was probably when they had the Star Trek experience in Vegas, they were probably using some of his sounds.
Yeah.
Probably the majority were Next Generation sounds, which he didn't do.
You know, it's interesting. You laugh about that, but it's pretty insane what these people go through to create this, like to create theme park music.
So you did a stream about that with a guy who does it using Cakewalk, and I loved that stream. And it was really amazing.
Yeah, because I had the guy on last year, and we're like, so talk about your rig, and he's like, I'm running like Windows 2000 with the Cakewalk.
Yeah,
that's
and
very
a bunch
funny.
of reactor libraries.
I think it's really cool. Like I was kind of joking about it, but I think that's one of those interesting. It's a job that you don't ever think about.
Exactly. There's a whole.
And it exists. I think it's really cool, and it adds to the ambience and feel. I'm sure a lot.
I mean, and it's beyond just doing the music part of it too, because he does the entire sound design stuff too. So everything has like sound effects and everything like that. And then there's a whole technology behind how it triggers and stuff, especially with the more modern rides, because a lot of they're developing rides nowadays that aren't on tracks anymore. Like if you go to like the Star Wars theme area at Disney World, there's a ride that is it's on wheels. It's not on a track, and it goes on its own. And how it synchronizes and stuff like that, and how they synchronize the audio and the sound effects to what's going on is just like, it's insane how they do that kind of stuff nowadays. And how they've done it in the past is even crazier, back when it was all on tape. Nowadays it's a lot easier because it's all digital, and they just basically have like little, MacBook, little Mac minis on the back of the carts and stuff like that. But back when it was tape, it was just bizarre. But yeah, and like the whole concept, especially if you look at some of these parks that do the music and the sound and stuff like that, one of the things that we were talking a lot about is that there's the music that you hear that's not of that world that you're walking through, and then there's the music that you hear that is in that world that you're walking through. So like if I'm going to use the Disney World thing. So if you're walking through, like when you walk into the entrance of Disney World and you hear theme music of like It's a Small World or whatever, that's one thing. But then when you're walking down Main Street and you hear like a band playing, like a barbershop quartet playing, that's in-world music. And they develop, and that's one of the things these folks do, is they develop that whole thing of the difference between the in-world and the out-world music, and how that interacts with people and stuff like that. I mean, there's like psychology studies done about how all this stuff works. It's crazy. It's absolutely nuts.
It is crazy. Mm-hmm. It's very cool.
Yeah. And then also of course we had to ask, like, so do you have to ride the rides with like a keyboard strapped to the ride, and like you're composing the music as you're on the ride and stuff? And they don't do that anymore.
And once they get those knit keyboards, they can take them on the log flume ride.
It's waterproof, but they do it all in VR. So they do the whole rides nowadays in virtual reality and stuff like that, and they just strap on the headgear and stuff, and off you go. And that's how they figure out a lot of timing and stuff.
Who wrote the soundtrack to American McGee's Alice? Was that Chris Brennan?
I think it was, wasn't it? Yeah,
it was one of those guys. Anyway, he said that was like one of the most challenging things he's ever done, because you have to write these loops of different types of music that need to fade in and out of each other based on the action. And it needs to be able to stop and start based on action. So similar to like where you doing an amusement park where you have to have different things trigger at different times and have to have different spatial things and diegetic music versus like sounds. Yeah, it's a real science to it. It's
yeah, there's I have a couple books on writing video game soundtracks. And that's one of the things is like how one of the big parts of it is how you take, because there's just some video games just like we just wrote these music loops and then they play. It's like the original Legend of Zelda game. Whenever you're outside the world, do 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 do, and then you go into the underground and there's underground music, but it's never like you're walking and something happens and the music changes to go along with that at that moment kind of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's kind of crazy. But yeah, anyway, that if you're a fan of analog synthesizers and you're a fan of reading, then that's a great thing to do. Get the A to Z of analog synthesizers. If anything, they would look great on the back of your toilet and perfect for when you're taking a crap and you want to read about some analog synthesizers.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people probably have the Mark Vail book. I have the Mark Vail book, and I think this probably gives you a ton more detail.
Yeah, it does.
A ton more sense, and also it'll give you that detail that an expert would have on what makes this thing special. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if you guys watch the Starsky Car videos, but when he does these comparisons between like an emulation and the real thing, he knows exactly what part of that synth to push it to see if he's going to find a difference. Mm-hmm. And that kind of expertise is amazing. And I'm just guessing that this book is filled with that.
Yep.
No, what's really special on this is if you overdrive this, the sonic quality's there. So that is invaluable.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, that's looks like it's a good collection there. I'll probably pick it up, put it in the studio library down here. If anything, it's fun to just kind of flip through when you're thinking about what you want to do next. Still more fucking Behringer news. I swear to God, they should start sending us some stuff for us to review, so we can do our 100 monkeys in a Zoom chat review system. They recently released a video of the UBXA in action.
Two of them.
Yeah, two of them. Yeah.
Right on the heels. I didn't post the other one, but they put another one out there that's like a song.
Yeah. So it's this is their clone of the OBX, the famous OBX, that they are putting together. And yeah, Justin, you posted this, didn't you?
I did. So first of all, I'm not going to hide the fact that I'm a huge Oberheim nerd, and I love the SEM sound, and I love everything about them. The problem is the OB6 was always just a hard sell for me because I just didn't feel like it was capturing what I really wanted, and it was expensive, and I didn't have really any faith that they were going to do this justice. Some of the tool model or the samples that they put out there early on sounded like garbage. Like about 11 months ago. I mean, they looked the part, but they sounded horrible. And the only reason I posted this is because holy shit, it actually sounds good. And that, I'm not trying to knock Behringer, but that's a huge accomplishment considering what they're trying to do. And it actually sounded pretty darn good. Unless they're fooling me and using it as a mini controller for an OBXA. Yeah.
So are you saying that there are other UBXA videos that they put out previously didn't do it for you?
Well, there was only one that had any noise, and it could have been any synth. I mean, they wouldn't really worked out the two-pole filter yet. They were just like, hey, we have one that looks like it, and it makes some noise. It was an engineer. It wasn't, these are their beta testers, who are musicians. And so they sound, and they've written patches. I mean, they kind of went for this spot where like they showed like the original sort of prototypes, and then a couple of noises, and then in like 11-month period they went into full production / beta testing for a long time. And of course they went sort of, there's like radio silence, like nothing else came out. And then all of a sudden, bam. And there's a lot of speculation that Sequential is going to release the equivalent of an OBXA or OB8, like they did the Prophet 5 and Prophet 10. And that the drop date for that, I think, is supposed to be in July. So to me, I feel like this might have been a calculated maneuver on their part. Because they don't have the chips to make these and sell them to anybody. So these beta tester versions are probably the only ones that are going to live for about another 10 months, probably.
Well, I'm surprised they didn't release it already and then just let people, beta test it for them.
Well, they would, if the chipsets weren't so difficult to come by.
Well, I mean, they make their own chips, so I don't think it's a matter of chips. I think they're still working on the firmware for matrix modulation and polyphony. This is a big challenge. I think they did announce it soon, just the way they unleashed monosynth after monosynth after monosynth. They've got a common framework that they're going to stop dropping. And now that they've got their polysynth stuff set up where they can just change parts of the architecture and leave the rest out. So I think they're going to start flooding the market with polysynths. I think after the UBI XA, I think we're going to see a Prophet 16.
Yeah, I don't know to the degree.
Because they have the chips for that as well, and they just demonstrated a prototype. We know they're working on their CS80 clone, which is going to be called the DS80. That has a lot of complicated stuff. That I think is going to take longer, but I think you're going to start seeing a lot of vintage and even some unique designs. But a lot of polysynths are going to be coming out of Behringer now that they've got their basic framework worked out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'd be curious because I know they've used a lot of SEM type chips, CEM, not SEM. Sorry, and I do know that you're right that they do have the ability to make their own chips, but I don't understand the supply chain issues with the stuff. But they can't be making all the microcontrollers. Right. I mean, that would be just too crazy.
No, and that's exactly because it's using both. It's using chips, which can be CEM or SSM or CM or there's the both chips that the Prophet used. I can't remember right now. But they're making clones of those chips, so they've got those. But the firmware and the MIDI, the USB, that's all an ARM architecture, and the ARM architecture. There is a global shortage of.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that does hold up everybody. It's holding up car manufacturing.
Mm-hmm. Let's go crazy.
Yeah.
Actitect, you've redeemed the resonate command on the chat. So there it is. There you go. There's your resonance.
I can resonate a fart.
You totally should. Go ahead.
All right. Let's see.
Just in case you're wondering, that's what it sounds like.
Nice.
You can drive it. Again, the scientists were so concerned, or could.
They didn't bother asking. They should.
Completely forgot. It was worse than Jurassic Park.
It was. All right, everyone resonated. We lost Justin in the resonance. There he is.
You got filter sweat right out.
Nice.
Filter see yourself out. God.
It's so bad. It doesn't get any better, but it actually it does.
So much worse.
This is the thing. It doesn't, but it does.
Fuck you.
That wasn't me. I didn't do that one.
Oh, good time.
Oh shit. Oh my god. And our last piece of news for tonight is that Overbridge updated their software. Electron updated the Overbridge software to support Big Sur and Apple M1 compatibility. So, and that's big news for me because that was the last piece of thing that I was waiting for before I upgraded my studio computer to Big Sur. Ta-da!
I was over Unger, and Unger was over Done. And Overbridge what?
Over who? Huh?
I was over Unger, and Unger
Huh?
was over
What?
Dunn.
What?
Don't call me Shirley.
I like the fact that you were actually quoting from the second Airplane movie, which is really
Which is a
Bad.
beautiful piece of obscurity.
bad. What's your vector, Victor? Roger. What? That's the original Airplane. Yeah, the other news that we did have that did not make it in before we cut it off, but we can probably cover it now because we have some extra time, is more Behringer news, as they, of course, knocked off the Moog Model 15, System 35, and System 55 modular synthesizers.
Yeah, I mean they've had out these. They've been teasing this for a long time, and they've had them out, I think, as individual Eurorack modules. But the fact that they piece these things together to mimic the originals in terms of, at least in terms of what's in the slots,
Yeah.
that's pretty impressive. But compared to the ARC 2600 clone, and maybe it's just me, but I don't like the sound of this thing. I didn't when they were Eurorack modules, and I don't really like it now. And I'm pretty sure I like Moog modular because I every time I hear it, it sounds gorgeous. So I really think either the people using it aren't using those ladder filters the right way, or they didn't make the ladder filters right.
Yeah.
Or the oscillators, which is crazy. Why would you build this gigantic, Rube Goldberg machine and then have it sound like shit? Doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, the actual thing does sound so good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, the system.
And
Go ahead.
it's I think with a lot of the synths that they've been recreating, you can sort of get close enough in the neighborhood, and they sound right. But with a lot of Moog stuff, the sound is so incredibly distinctive. Like, with an 808, because to your point, Justin, a lot of them, there's variants among the old 808s, and there's 8 of them left anyway. And all the capacitors are 40 years old in them. And, who knows? At this point, the only way we know what an 808 sounds like is from an original recording of one that hasn't been processed. And so this has such a distinctive sound that anybody who knows that sound will pick it out, and I don't know, it feels weird to me. I don't know, like the kind of person who's going to want that system too from Moog. I don't know how much overlap. I guess there's got to be some. Diagram is not two separate circles there, but it seems to me that the Venn diagram is less overlapped with this modular Moog system than some of their other stuff with people who'd buy it from Behringer versus.
Because Moog
not.
does release these. I think they have 2 or 3, just like re-releases of these things, of the 15. But holy crap, are you in deep? They're like 20, 35K, something insane, depending on which.
Whereas these devices that Behringer's putting out, the System 15 is $15.99, the System 35 is $22.99, and the System 55 is $35.99.
Still too much for what I heard, but look, maybe it's early days, but the thing is, the modules have been around for a minute,
Right?
And I do feel like the person, and Christoph, you mentioned this guy last time. I don't remember his name, but they brought in a guy who has worked on this kind of DIY stuff for a long time to do the 2600s, and I feel like there was a lot of TLC going into that.
Yeah, their 2600 sounds good.
Sounds really good.
Yeah.
So I think that's a pretty faithful recreation, albeit modernized.
Mm-hmm.
And,
Yeah, Starsky Car's
the
videos,
modules,
those were impressive.
I think the Moog modules are like, hey, let's make cheap modules. It's good enough.
Yeah.
I think kind of the philosophy. It's like, I guarantee they're going to sell some of these units to people that live in Brooklyn. And they try delicious fart noises with it.
You calling out hipsters or?
Yeah.
Just
Odd hipsters are going to buy this. You know, they're gonna put some other module in there to make it theirs, but yeah.
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 Exactly.
Like, oh yeah, but I added maths.
Yeah,
And
there you
then-
go.
And then they'll be able to.
Well, that does it.
When in doubt, I mean, that's all you really need. That's the only module that anybody ever really needs is maths. Everything else is just icing.
My God. I will say this, that Brooklyn is overrepresented in the vintage computer and vintage synth market on Reverb. Like, it does seem like a lot of this stuff is coming out of Brooklyn. It's very weird.
Yep.
Yeah, but I'm sure back in the day, the Fixie bicycles, a lot of them were sold from Brooklyn.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's not a lot of stores that are dedicated to modular synths, and one of them is Control in Brooklyn.
And the other one is Detroit Modular in Detroit.
Yeah.
Nice.
Is Detroit still around?
Detroit Modular? Or the city?
No, Detroit.
Oh, well,
city.
but some of it's
Yeah,
underwater
so-
right now.
Yeah, some of it managed not to get COVID, I think.
Well, that part got flooded, but...
Yeah, that was the rest of Michigan. I think Detroit did all right with COVID, and I think rural Michigan all got sick. So it's a similar story to Illinois. I'm afraid.
Yeah, indeed. So that's all the news we have for this week. What are folks looking forward to? Anything besides
Well,
going to bed?
Plasma Blackout just popped up behind you, so I'm looking forward to that. I know there's new releases underway.
Yep, still being recorded, but yes, we are working on it. That'll be fun. Yeah, thank you.
As the West Coast burns and temperatures rise all over, I look forward to the end of humankind.
Actitect's
Yeah.
got 2 more news items, and he wants to make an announcement. He's one of our mods, so I guess I can let that go. The Elk
right.
Live thing. I don't know what the Elk Live thing is.
To the Googles.
I'm imagining
it's like,
a pink neon sign that says Live Elks. Live
and
nude
the other
elk.
one is Manfred Frick.
All right, well, yeah. All right, everything I found for Elk Live came up with actual elks.
He just sent a link.
Okay.
Elk.live. What? Oh, yeah. Okay, I did see this. We were talking about this on the Golden Shrimp Guild. So elk.live, he posted the link on there already. And what this is this is supposed to basically allow you to jam with other musicians in near real time from wherever in the world.
Oh, so it's like audio quality.
Well, it has you buy these audio interfaces, and then you use the specific interfaces. The bridge is what it's called, and that is your connection between everybody.
That's really cool if it works.
Mm-hmm. And they're advertising that the latency is like milliseconds. I can't remember what the exact is.
It's not very expensive.
It's
I'm
like
looking at it on
$400.
their site. It's $400.
And then there's a subscription
I'd buy
that
one of
you
these.
do, for like using their services and stuff like that.
Oh, this is, you have to be within 1,000 kilometers of one another.
Interesting.
Guess you're not jamming with those guys from New Zealand.
I
after
know.
all.
I guess
Yeah, it says-
Actitect and I will not be jamming.
There's nothing stopping you from connecting with musicians even further away. We just want you to be aware that you might not get that in the same room type of experience.
What, like they won't smell me when I fart? I mean, that's cool.
There's that.
Gonna
But there's
take latency. That's what's going to
Yeah.
happen.
I think it's the latency. Yeah, this
Yeah,
looks
the
like
speed
a
of
really compelling
electricity actually
surface.
shows up after a while.
Well, look, I'd buy one if y'all want to play some music.
Hey, we could all jam.
That would be an interesting way to do a synth review, just like synth review plus elk.
I know, right? And then we just yell at you the whole time.
I'm very into it.
Yeah. That's cool.
UDO Super 6, allegedly this
I
month.
know, right?
Nice.
And then
Hit the slider. No, not that slider. The slider next to the other slider.
No, you're doing it wrong.
It's got so many shift commands. It's the only thing that I'm not looking forward to, but it'll be okay. But there's so many like button combos, it looks like.
Oh, and the other piece of news is is Manfred Frick, the Berlin synth drum machine legend, passed away.
That's sad.
So he also made the analog synth Dominion 1.
Yes. He made the 301 and the
that-
501 drum machines
Yeah.
and the Tans bars.
Okay.
I still have that, my Tans mouse.
Mm-hmm.
Love it. Because I have to collect every 808 clone that was ever made.
Of course.
It seems reasonable.
Yeah. So
Yeah. Actually, I take it back. It's the Tans bar Lite that I have. The Tans bar mouse. Tans mouse was the 909 clone, and I got rid of that.
Yeah. I remember when you got rid of that.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's
But yeah,
Manfred Freak.
it's really sad.
Once again, another legend in the field passed away.
It's terrible.
Yes.
God, he was just at like Super Booth not that long ago because he was what's that other thing that they make? Oh, I can't remember. I thought it was him.
There's MFB.
MFB 501 2021, the 522, the 301, the MFB synth,
Yeah, I can't remember what it was.
Tanspar 2, Dominion 1.
Yeah, the Dominion one is Nick Bat loves that thing. I think he still has. Pulls that off.
Actitech says I got a MFB 501.
Nice.
Is that the little red one? It looked like a Speak and Spell chassis. Or one of them was like that.
I speak for everyone when I say fuck answer.
Yep.
Yeah, seriously.
Yes.
And now we're gonna leave everyone on a down note.
Stolen my dreams.
We can't do that.
I know.
We've got to.
Like I said, what are we looking forward to, guys? What are we looking forward to? What's coming up? Fuck you, Christoph.
All right, so well, I'm looking to my Spike Club anniversary tomorrow.
Yep, stop by on Christoph's channel.
And
I'm looking forward to that,
forward
too.
to the thunderstorms. I hope I don't lose rain. I hope I don't lose power because that'll cancel Spike
Yeah,
Club.
you're good at that.
Missed it one time because of a
I
power
remember that.
outage. Yeah, that was during a tropical storm Isaias, which was a hurricane elsewhere.
Mhm.
It slowed down by the time it got to New York, but it did, except for flooding damage, it did more physical damage than Hurricane Sandy did. But the flooding was the real killer for damage for Hurricane Sandy in the New York area. So I'm looking forward to that, and I'm looking forward to temperatures dropping.
Yay! Me too. It's supposed to be like
14 degrees cool tomorrow.
yeah, it's supposed to be in the 70s tomorrow.
Yeah.
Thank goodness.
Yeah.
So,
And I know that someday winter will come again, and snow, and mosquitoes will suck it.
well, they do that now. They'll stop sucking it because they'll be dead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
Golden Shrimp Guild will be having 808 and 909 days coming up.
Nice.
Yeah, so bust out your 808s, bust out your 909s. I don't have an 808, but I'll pretend I do.
I can get you a clone for $350.
Just send it over and I'll just put it with the rest of your shit.
Tree did it.
And then 909 day is happening when NobCon's happening. So I will be, if NobCon is still happening, I will be there. Because that'll be fun. Loop Lindrum is hanging for the new Deluge firmware with the major sequencer updates. Yes.
Yep.
Same. Hopefully that'll be coming within the next month or so, at least starting to beta test them and stuff like that. Because the Deluge is awesome. Everybody needs a Deluge.
Yep. That looks good.
Yep.
Synthstrom, will you give me a deluge so I can fit in?
They will. All you've got to do is send them a bunch of money.
Yeah, easy.
And then they'll give you one.
Yep.
I read that.
Yeah.
It's a really crazy
Yeah,
system.
you send them $999, you get a Deluge.
They've reserved one for me. They're just waiting for me to. I just have to give them some
Yep,
money.
and
Well, they'll give it to you for free. You just pay $1,000
Yeah,
for shipping. Is
yeah.
all.
And they'll even include a little handwritten note to you, thanking you for buying it. They're sweet like that. They're good guys. Cool people. What else am I looking forward to? I'm looking forward to the next Synth Fest coming up. I'm looking forward to not doing anything on the 4th of July because I'm not a fireworks person.
Dude, here in Chicago, it's been going on since the beginning of the
same
month.
here.
And it's constant. And I live right near the lake, and so it's like M80 time at like midnight over here.
Yeah, same here. We've been having that shit.
Your list is starting to sound like Steve Martin's famous monologue where he said all the things he was thankful for. Yeah. One of them was that children don't explode when you say the number 5, I think was
you know what?
Yeah.
I really wish they would explode if I said the number 5. Not gonna lie. So yeah, I like the Act Tech just giving me good things to look forward to. Lineup release for the Synthfest is tomorrow, so everyone who streams should play a Synthfest at some point. Synthfest.online. You can get up the Golden Shrimp Guild, and there's no reason for folks not to stream, other than the fact that they're cowards. Justin.
Oh no.
No, I'm kidding.
I'm looking forward to doing something I haven't gotten to do in a really long time, which is actually sit down and try to write some new music. I've been doing the REM challenge, which is the monthly version of the RPM challenge, but I've wound up most times sort of. I haven't been phone or anything, but I haven't been sort of really composing anything very intentionally. You know, they're sort of simpler songs, or they're more jams, or they're heavily based in the semi-modular stuff, where I was something that's either generative or semi-generative, and then I'm just kind of interacting with it.
Mm-hmm.
And I've got everything set back up, and it all works, and everything talks to each other, and I have documentation of the patch base, like things function again, and that's really cool. So I'm looking forward to sitting down some over the next few days and actually getting to use this stuff a little bit more intentionally.
I'll tell you what, when I redid the studio, and I'm like, oh, this is so cool, and I finally sat down, I couldn't come up with anything.
I never can.
Yeah, I'm like, fuck.
But that's okay.
Yeah. But yeah,
I think it's your headspace.
That's why I started doing the live streaming, because now it's just like, I'm just going to do it. Here we go. Off to the races. Now these people are going to watch me fail, you know?
Yeah.
You better twist something. You're on.
Yep.
Yeah. So speaking of Twitch, actually, I have another thing I'm looking forward to. An artist I like, Morris Black, he's been doing a live stream where he takes you behind the scenes on how he writes his music or how he does his sound design. So it's like a free class.
Oh, cool.
And he just started teaching how to do it with a free synth called Vital, which is like a serum killer. And, I don't know how people make dubstep sounds, but they're pretty neat. And so it's kind of, I like this class a lot. It's really interesting to see. And it's free.
That's cool. I've watched a couple of his streams, and I've really enjoyed them. And I have to say, Morris Black outside of the Morris Black outfit is not what I would have imagined inside the Morris Black outfit. I don't know what I had in my head. It was not the actual
you
Morris
don't think
Black.
it's going to be a guy with a man bun that is constantly vaping. You expect it to be more of a demon.
Wow.
Yeah.
Sounds like a Venture Brothers character. I don't believe this exists. I'm gonna check.
He may be a Venture Brothers character.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Christoph. My albino is cooler than your albino.
Justin, what are you looking forward to?
Gosh, does it sound negative? Like nothing? Survival? No. I'm looking forward to being able to ship off some mixdowns to you, because Adam penciled me in for the middle of July, so I need to be done.
Son, you better get that to me here soon.
I know. I look forward to being done. So I'm setting like July 1st as a deadline to be done.
That's and that's another 2 hours from now.
Yeah, I know. But I got all day. I got all day tomorrow to do. I'm really nitpicking at this point. I'm really polishing the turd, so I need to stop and
admit that you're done. Actitect is looking forward to the fact that the emojis are now animated on Twitch, and he just literally vomited a whole bunch of emojis into the chat, and they are in fact animating quite nicely.
Wow.
That's
not enabled on my channel yet.
Yeah, apparently that's enabled here.
Oh. You so fancy.
I need to start. I need to come up with some more. I need to come up with some more emotes. I only have 3, and I really don't like. I pulled them out of my ass, and they're not really great. I need someone to come up with. I need a real person to do those. That isn't me.
Yeah, I need to make more emotes too.
Maybe I can convince Actitect possibly for remote blowjobs or something like that to make some emotes for me. Daddy.
It's really hard to make something that still looks good at 28 pixels.
I know, right?
Careful there, we'll get kicked off of Twitch for kissing microphones.
Yeah. Well, you can also, besides the 5 emotes that you can unlock, you can have additional emotes for people who cheer a lot of bits or for people who gift a lot of subs. So that's why I don't have enough emotes.
Yeah, same.
So when people throw money in my channel, they get nothing.
Well, at least
Not even your gratitude.
Solid and consistent expectations, Christoph.
Yeah, I just started doing like the things like, I'll read to you if you cash in this stuff or whatever. But I mean, we actually did pretty well with because I did the with the last stream for Rainbow Rolls, I donated the money from that to the LGBT Center of Greater Cleveland, and I think I made about, because I also threw up on Facebook, and I made $140 off of the Facebook donations, and then I got about $100 I think for the stream, which isn't bad. Nice. So that was cool. So thanks listeners, thanks viewers. Make sure to follow. If you are already not following, we will be doing this show again in 2 weeks. I'm going to be doing a stream in a couple of weeks as well, discussing doing a head-to-head between the Deluge, the Dig Attacked, and the Circuit Tracks. So find out who's going to win. It's going to be completely unbiased. Deluge is going to win. And that kind of thing. So follow for that. And also I'm going to be doing another Synth Fest here soon as well with Information Tray. We're going to be doing that together, possibly making out. Who knows? It's that kind of show. May or may not be family friendly. Guess you got to tune in with the kids to find out. So yeah, follow, subscribe, throw bits at faces, whatever you want to call that stuff. Give us money. Sell your soul to X Studios. We love you. Ooh, I do not have an OnlyFans. However, Christoph does. So. Maybe I should do an OnlyFans. I don't know what I would do for OnlyFans. Just like I was like, we should set up a Patreon. I'm like, what am I gonna do for a Patreon? I don't know. But yeah, there's Christoph's OnlyFans account. So subscribe to that, and you might be able to get some steamy pictures of Christoph.
Okay.
Nope, just bread.
I would pay for Christoph to do ASMR while talking about
303s,
like, chipsets and stuff. Yeah. Yeah. Tell us how much you hate / love.
While you're making weird noises with your cheeks.
Oh my gosh.
Feel the crushing weight.
That was the cheapest TB303 emulator ever. All you need is a couple hands.
Couple cheeks. Just clapping.
The 303 reminds me that life is futile. All perish. Nothing amounts to anything. Like when I twist the resonance.
So is this your ASMR? Or is this like a Werner Herzog thing?
I'm not gonna do ASMR. It's gonna be Werner Herzog.
Okay, good. All
what can be Werner Herzog ASMR? I mean, in his own.
Yeah.
I know, right?
Yeah, all you've got to do for ASMR is just turn the gain way too high
and
on the
fart.
mic, and then it's instant ASMR.
No
Right?
spit gun. Yeah. Too bad. You know what's really funny, speaking of Werner Herzog, is he loved to cast Klaus Kinski in his movies.
Yes, he did.
When I was watching What We Do in the Shadows, the the infamous Jackie Daytona episode.
Yes.
I didn't realize that was Mark Hamill.
Yeah.
I thought that was Klaus Kinski or like a Klaus Kinski impersonator.
He wasn't. He was a Klaus Kinski impersonator in that one.
I know, it was brilliant. I mean, he's such a good voice actor that he could pull off stuff, but I hadn't seen him in real life in so long, and plus the makeup, I was like astounded.
Yeah. All right, let's get the hell out of here, guys. It's getting late.
All right.
We're going to raid over to David01 tonight. Those that don't know, David01 is a Deluge brother, and he is fucking incredible. So we're going to raid over to him. He's online. I think he's over in Germany or something like that. I can't remember off the top of my head. So thank you all for watching tonight. Christoph, thanks for hanging out with me.
Thank you.
Jeff, thanks for putting up with me.
Thanks for having me.
Justin, thanks for being beautiful.
You hate me because I'm beautiful.
Love y'all. Have a good one. Take care. Where's my button?